Hello and welcome to Review the Light. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Skilhunt H02 headlamp. If you want to check out the full review, go ahead and click on the link that I'll put in the description below. So the Skilhunt H02 headlamp runs off of a single 18650 battery. Here's an idea of its length there by looking at it in my hand. It has it's a kind of a separate flashlight and headlamp setup, so that the flashlight slides into these rubber loops on the headlamp, and then you can adjust the angle by just some slight pressure there, but it's tight enough that it doesn't move around unless you purposefully adjust the angle of it while you're wearing it. So it's here's the headlamp style, or the head strap style. So you can see it's got the three separate bands, or well, rather two separate bands, but one around each side, and then one over the top. So I find that to be the most comfortable style in my opinion, fully adjustable, as you can see. Now when they sent this to me, the headband itself was packaged separately from the light, so I'm not certain if it's a standard accessory with the light or if you have to purchase it in addition to the flashlight, but that's just something to be aware of. So I'm going to go ahead and slip it out of there and set the headband to the side. And the in the package with the light also did come a couple of spare O-rings here, and a lanyard which you can attach here at the tail, and they've got this designed so that when you slip that through, it can still do a stable tail stand. The lanyard doesn't get in the way, which is nice. An optional clip, you can clip it on right here. I'll keep that off of there for now so it doesn't get in my way. Those are the accessories that it comes with. And also, the H02 has a magnet in its tail cap. I'll try and add a clip of it sticking to something metallic later, in a position where I have something metallic to stick to it. But there's a magnet in the tail cap, and you can get a spare, you can get replacement for that magnet if anything happens to it. I've heard stories of magnets losing their polarity if they're dropped or heated up or that sort of thing. So I've never actually had that happen to me with a magnet, but it is possible for magnets to break or lose their polarity, in which case you can replace the magnet that's in that tail. But I didn't get a spare magnet included in the package, so I believe you'll have to order that separately if you need one. So looking at the light, you can see here in the head it uses a Cree XML2 emitter. It's kind of hard to see the emitter because it's behind this textured lens here. And that texture on that lens, combined with a very shallow reflector that's underneath, means that it's going to be a very floody light, good for close-up or medium length work. So you can see the design of the head is kind of this squared off design, so it obviously isn't going to roll however you set it down. So if you do a tail stand with this light, it's actually obviously going to shine out to one side. So if you want light to go up, you just lay it on the side like that, and you can kind of fill the room with the light. You see the Skilhunt logo and the model number right there, and the control button is over here on this side. It's an electronic switch, is the only switch on this light. And also, if you ever have the desire, it does also stand on its head if that's what you want it to do. You can see we've got a few heat dissipation fins here. It's a kind of a different position for them. Usually they're a little bit closer to the LED, so I'm interested to see how well this handles heat. It doesn't get too high of output, so I'm not too worried. It doesn't get ridiculously high, but high enough that the heat dissipation will come into effect, so we'll see how those do. We've got some pretty mild knurling here. The knurling itself isn't very rough, it's actually pretty smooth, but due to the grooves in between, the grip on the light is very strong. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there is a magnet in the tail cap. So we'll go ahead and take it apart to take a look on the inside. It only comes apart here at the tail, I believe. Well, we'll try harder here. Oh no, it does come apart at the head as well. Just a little bit slower, takes a little more force. So we'll look in the head, and you can see it's got that circuit board. You can see the Skilhunt logo on the circuit board, which is always just kind of a nice touch. And we've got the spring here to make connection with the positive battery terminal, so you can use a flat top cell in here if you desire. Then you can see on the body here, both ends of the threads are mostly anodized, but they leave a portion unanodized at the end. So that means if your light's a little bit loose, it should still turn on, but the threads will have that anodization for the protection long term. And you can also see we've got O-rings here on each side, so that's nice. Looking down the body tube, it's pretty standard. It's fairly thin-walled. It's plenty strong enough, I believe, but it also keeps the total length down, and you might be able to tell there's a little bit of extra space in here, so if you have slightly thicker than normal batteries, that shouldn't be a problem, and I'll measure it and post the dimensions in a table like always on the full review. Here you can see inside the tail cap, you've got the spring, and beneath that you can kind of see the magnet that's in there, in the system they have devised to hold that all together. So that's what it looks on the inside. We'll put it back together. Alright, so the H02 is completely controlled by this side switch here near the head. It's a very compact design. I really appreciate it a lot. They've got the electronics right in there with the head and the reflectors, so very good, compact, space-saving design. So to turn it on, you just give it a single click, and it comes on in whatever mode that you use last. There's 4 different modes, so let's see where we are. We've got low, medium, high, and turbo. And I'll put this over here so you can see how there's a very smooth beam due to the shallow reflector and that textured lens. So low, medium, high, and turbo. And you just single click cycles through those 4 modes. And then to turn it back off, you hold down for about a second and it turns off. To also at any time, as I mentioned, it comes on in whatever mode you use last. So say I leave it in high here and turn it off. If I turn it back on, it's back in high. Now if I want to go straight to low when I turn it on, really nice feature is I can just hold down on the button for about half a second and it comes on in low mode automatically. So you always have access straight to low mode if you're in a situation where you don't want to have to go through the high first to get to low, whether that's ruining your night vision or wanting to stay kind of covert or whatever. So then also you can go straight to the high mode at any time, the turbo mode, by a double click from the off position. So there, if you want to go straight to the maximum brightness and don't want to cycle through to find it, you can do that also. And then you just right back to cycling through. So while the light is on, 2 clicks takes you to the strobe mode. And then from strobe you turn it off just by holding down, or you can see the strobe mode isn't memorized, so you have to always come back to it. Or if you just do a single click from the strobe mode, you're back to whatever mode you were using last. So that's the user interface of the H02. This has been the overview. Stick around for a second and we will take it outside. Alright, and here we are in my basement to demonstrate the magnetic tail cap of the Skilhunt H02 headlamp. As I mentioned earlier, it has that magnet in the tail. So we are going to test it out on this metal pipe that I have. So we're in an environment where you might want some extra light to work in the basement here. We've got this metal pipe. There's the H02, and it's just standing there on the pipe. So we'll turn on the light just to demonstrate what you might do. Say you were working on something over there, you could shed some extra light on the situation back there, or over here, or whichever way you want to point it. And you move it sideways, the length of the light kind of overcomes its ability. Now, it's partly probably just because I have it on this rounded surface here, but it's not really going to stay sticking straight out. If you had a straight surface, it could probably do better, but the length of it just makes them the pull of gravity too much for it, but it can stick on the bottom of something just fine. Shine some light and you can point the light wherever you want it. So this is very handy, I find, to be able to point the light in whichever direction you want there. This is the Skilhunt H02 headlamp, not on the head but on a metal pipe. That's that. Thanks. Welcome back to Review the Light. We are outside in the backyard with the Skilhunt H02 headlamp, and we're going to see how it does in the dark. I'll go ahead and fire it up. A single click. It looks like we're in turbo mode here, so I'll just run through the stages. A single click takes you through, here's low, medium, high, and turbo. You can see it's a very floody light. Got good coverage over the whole area here. And I'll pan around a little bit so you can see an idea. There it is on a nearby tree. Puts out a lot of light overall, so even with this large flood, you can still see there's a tree way behind my garage a little bit. You can kind of make it out depending on the brightness of your monitor right now. But I can make it out well enough to see if there's anything in it or not. So that's useful on the turbo mode. So a lot of total light output makes up for the floodiness. You can see it is, excuse me, brighter in the middle, but definitely very smooth transition out to the edges of the beam there, and then it just kind of fades off at the edge without any really definite endpoint. So a very floody light. There's again the low, medium, high on the turbo. And from the off position, I can go straight to the low by holding down for a second, or when it's off I can go straight to turbo by double clicking. And here's the strobe. Those are the basic operations. And it's also just worth a look. You can, once my camera adjusts, see the texture at work in the lens, which is kind of fun, a little bit different than normal. So there's a look at that. So this is the Skilhunt H02 headlamp, and again, you can click on the link in the description and check out the full review. Thanks.